wasn't feeling the best, and so I did remote, but I'm going to be in the office on Thursday and Friday.
Nice.
Yeah.
How's it going sharing a desk with Michael?
I haven't met him yet. So I kind of
working out.
So I think he's a myth as of now. I think you guys are pulling my leg that there's actually a Michael. But yeah, I don't think we really leave anything at the desk, so it's kind of hard to even tell that another person is there.
Yeah. Well, as we go to more remote working, I think that's the wave of the future is shared office space.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, it just makes the most sense.
Yeah. You're our guinea pig, thank you.
One day I'm going to bring in a picture of my dog though and have it on the desk. So hopefully he's a dog fan.
We're actually talking about bulletin boards in every building for dogs and family members.
Yes.
Just allow dogs to come to work.
Yeah, I agree.
I have an official request from a department. Yeah, absolutely.
Part of me is like, yes, the other part's like, liability.
Mine would have to come muzzled.
Mine totally would be too. She's so sweet, but her around other female dogs, she just gets, I don't know, she's a little antisocial.
Jenny, are we ready to get going?
We are ready to go.
Awesome. So welcome. Thank you, everybody, for joining tonight. We'll call to order the February 22nd meeting of the Budget Advisory Committee. I hope everyone's staying as warm as possible with this weather outside, and no one else is having furnace troubles in the middle of the night. So let's start with the approval of the January 25th meeting minutes. Is there a motion to approve? Or actually, no, I apologize. Let me jump back and do roll call. Josh Newell, Chair present. Christina, will come around to you.
Christina Underhill, Director of Parks, Recreation, Library, and Golf. Jenny Nolan, Budget Administrator.
Bill Lesage, back committee.
Sean Lewis, City Staff.
Stephen Ward, Council Liaison. Rita Russell, Council Liaison.
Peter Eckel, Budget Advisory Committee. Tim Dodd, Assistant City Manager.
Min Q John, back committee.
Suzanne Anderson, Budget Advisory Committee.
Awesome. And to those on the WebEx or the Teams meeting?
James.
James Horan with the Budget Advisory Committee, present.
Melissa.
And I'm Mel Englewood. I'm the Sustainability Coordinator for the city.
Oh, God. Awesome. On to the January 25th meeting. Thank you, Min Q, for running that. I was enjoying a manta ray dive in Hawaii, so I'm going to just be dreaming about that if it gets too cold tonight. But I appreciate that. A motion to approve the minutes. Is there a motion for that?
So moved.
I will second.
All right, we got a motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right. On to new business. We would like to officially welcome Peter Eckel as the alternate member, stepping in to replace James, who as of February 1st is officially a full voting member. So no more concerns about that, James. You get a vote every week. Peter, we really appreciate your serving, and please let us know if there's any questions or anything as you integrate and join the committee on our processes, things like that. As we go, let us know how we can help out.
All right, thanks.
Perfect. With that, we'll just jump right into it. We've got sustainability tonight. So Tim, Melissa, and Christina, we're excited to hear about your guys' focus and how you're working towards the sustainability goals.
Well, I'll turn it over to Melissa. So one of our newer employees, she's a part-time employee in the city manager's office. And so we developed a sustainability plan last year. It was approved by council on April 5th. So it's a standalone plan, but it's also what I call a plug-in plan, meaning it plugs in to the strategic plan as a sustainability section of the plan. So Melissa Armel was hired to basically coordinate those efforts and it's been here a month or 3 weeks, I forget which.
This is the start of my 4th week. So at the end of this week, it'll be officially a month.
Great.
Awesome. Can you all see that? Does it look good on your end?
Oh,
I see
I'll
presentation.
share. I was sharing.
Oh.
Can you see what I'm? No, you probably can't see what I'm sharing.
I think you should be able to share now, Mel.
Okay, let me,
Oh, perfect.
All right.
Woohoo!
can you see it now? Okay, perfect.
Yes.
All right. Well, as Sim said, I'm the sustainability coordinator. I'm very new, and I'm also the first sustainability coordinator for the city. So that's super exciting. I've just been kind of drinking from the water hose, from the fire hose, trying to catch up and learn everything I can. But today I'm going to be presenting to you all first about the sustainability outcome areas, kind of where we are progress-wise for some of that, and then I'm going to hand it off to Christina to go over Parks, Recreation, Library, and golf, and the golf department, and then we're going to end with some questions. All right, so sustainability in the strategic plan. So Tim already said how this was adopted in April of 2021, and how we have it defined as of right now for sustainability as a city that protects its natural environment. This may get changed with the recommended suggestions going forward for the updated plan. But as of now, we have 10 goal areas, and that's air quality, built infrastructure, community resilience, economic resilience, energy, food systems, which food systems is potentially going to be moved to a different part of the strategic plan, but it's in there for right now. Natural environment, waste and recycling, transportation, and water protection. So definitely a lot of good areas right there. And so in the sustainability plan, we have 26 total projects. And as of now, 19 are in progress, 5 are delayed, and 2 are completed. And so I'm just going to really quickly touch over some of the projects, their statuses for you all. So the first one we have implement park irrigation system repair and replacement plans. That's in status. So anything in this green just means that it's in process right now. And then we also are in process of evaluating financial models supporting sustainability infrastructure and to communicate any necessary alternatives if applicable. Something that's really exciting is the implementation system of a single hauler for trash and recycling. I've been part of some of those conversations, and there's a lot of energy around that, which is really exciting. And then also again, food systems is probably going to be changed, but to continue quarterly food drives to assist nonprofits in providing food to people facing food insecurity. So then here are more of the projects that are currently in process. So completing the construction of Big Dry Creek Diversion Project, that's going to commence in Q3. And a goal around improving the taste of clarity of Englewood's water. So completing a water softening evaluation. Other ones include increasing efficiency of irrigation of system in parks, recycling efforts, and something I just found out recently was that our city buildings are going to be getting recycling as of June 1st. So that's an exciting step as well. And then we have projects currently in progress around water conservation efforts and also around meters to eliminate flat rate accounts as well. All right, so then we also are in the process of investing in water infrastructure. So as funding materializes, implementing phased repair and replacement scheduled in the outline of the master plan. And then one project, you see this check here that means it's completed, is to develop a comprehensive asset management program to ensure that maintenance and replacement of planning for city buildings. So that's exciting that that one's done. These two right here, these yellow triangles just mean that these projects are delayed. So one is around evaluating the current Amerisco contract. I'm a little bit fuzzy around the Amerisco, but so they were the ones, we had a contract with them for our solar panels that we have on, I believe, 4 of our city buildings. And it produces, I think, like over 430,000 kilowatt hours for us. So I think it's just evaluating, because after 20 years, the city can decide, I'm pretty sure, that if they want to take over that contract from them. And then the other part that is being delayed right now is working with the Colorado Energy Office to conduct an energy performance audit of all the city buildings. We're currently talking with Eckel Energy. There might be a chance that we could work with them to do this as well. So this just needs to be looked into a little bit more. And then Other ones that are in the process include pursuing funding partnerships regionally and nationally for water programs. Another project that is completed is the evaluation of opportunities for incorporating water quality improvements into public infrastructure projects. That was completed in June of 2021. And then all these ones down here, essentially they're just projects around supporting pollinators, specifically in parks, and to cut the use of pesticides. I've heard of really awesome work being done around there, which is exciting. And then wrapping things up and coming to a close, something in process right now is to consider putting energy efficiency in the building code and to continue to pursue green building codes. And then these three right here are delayed around exploring alternative energy opportunities. And I believe that just is delayed because it hasn't been, the project hasn't been implemented yet, but it's something that we're hoping to get to. But yeah, now I will pass it off to Christina. Christina, do you want me to keep sharing my screen, or do you want to share it on your end?
No, go ahead and keep sharing.
Okay, perfect.
Make it easier. All right, so again, I'm Christina Newell. I'm the Director of Parks, Recreation, Library, and Golf. So let's go to the next slide. So this is an overview of the different areas my department oversees. So with our parks, we have 250 acres of parks and open space. In partnership with South Suburban, we oversee the River Run Trailhead. We have Bellevue's Farm and Train, which last year was so popular. It was nice to see people returning back out to that park. And then we do a lot of outdoor special events like movies in the park, and this next year we'll have some concerts in the parks too. As far as recreation is concerned, that encompasses the Englewood Recreation Center and the Maui Recreation Center, which is our active adult center for 55 plus. Pirates Cove Water Park, which we're happy to say that last year we had a really good return of people coming to our park, and I'll talk about some of those budget numbers here shortly. We were definitely impacted by COVID in 2020 at the park. We offer a lot of different classes and programs for all ages and abilities. And then we do about 25 special events annually as well through our recreation department, which would include the 4th of July, the block party, concerts that we've had out here in the amphitheater, things like that. And then library, which is located on the first floor of the Civic Center, is another piece of our department. And we have a great children's library team that does weekly story times, both virtually and in person. They have a technology lab that gets highly used. And we do a lot of special events and programs for all ages. Unfortunately, the library has been the most impacted through COVID, just with challenges in hiring staff, keeping staff, and then we welcome the public in very often with potential illness. So we deal with that on a daily basis in the library. And then lastly, we have Broken Tee Golf Course, which is located that way. You can't even see it right now. It's in snow conditions. It has unfortunately been closed since December 31st because of snow. This is the longest Broken Tee has remained closed without play in the history of Broken Tee that we know of. The driving range has been open, and that's bringing in some revenue, not as much as we'd like, but and then we also have a restaurant there and Meta Golf, which is a training facility as well. You can take lessons, get some new clubs there, things like that. So let's go to the next slide. So these are the budget numbers for expenditures that we had last year. We did return over $630,000 to the general fund. I did meet with my managers and go over each division, looking at why this potentially occurred, and really it came down to staffing. We were understaffed for much of 2021, unfortunately. Pirates Cove was closed a week early, and we really struggled towards the end of this season to keep sufficient lifeguards to keep the park open. So a lot of the money that was being returned is due to staffing. We do not anticipate continuing down that path of lack of staffing, because for like Pirates Cove, we need lifeguards. We need to make sure we stay open with adequate numbers. So that was a majority, unfortunately, of underspent. The $240,000 for recreation, same thing. A lot of it was our part-time wages, temporary wages. A lot of our staff are instructors in many classes because of COVID reasons in 2021 were significantly reduced, or we didn't meet numbers, so they had to be canceled. So we don't anticipate returning the same amount to the general fund this next year. We really feel like we're in recovery mode after COVID, and hopefully things just continue to be positive for us. All right, I'll go to the next slide. So for revenues, we did really well last year. We brought in almost $250,000 more than we anticipated. A lot of that came from Farm and Train. Like I said, that place was packed. It was extremely popular this last year. Pirates Cove also did very well. We weren't sure how that was going to go, but we heard a lot of comments that people like the smaller park compared to others in the area. And so we had a lot of visitors at Pirates Cove. So unfortunately, our recreation and Maui programs suffered somewhat when it came to revenues. This year, we are offering a free social pass for individuals who are 55 and plus for the Maui Center, and that will actually get you into the recreation center too. And some of the concern that was discussed in getting people back to our center is the need for being social and encouraging people, like, don't let it be a monetary issue. We want you to come and visit us and be social and participate in our programs. And so the Maui Center Trust Fund approved to cover those costs for this next year. It's not going to be a huge revenue loss. It's around $20,000. And again, the trust fund is covering that. So overall, we did fairly well on the revenue side. The one thing I forgot to include on revenues was Broken T Golf Course. We surpassed our revenues projected with $186,000 more than we anticipated that we budgeted for. And so the course overall brought in $2.4 million in revenue. Our fingers are crossed that people will still love golf. Golf was the one thing through COVID that was open and no one else was. We're hoping that everybody bought their clubs and will feel guilty and come back and play. So it'll be interesting to see what the golf course does over these next few years. Golf was, prior to COVID, starting to be on the downhill slope, unfortunately. And so with COVID, it may have helped golf for a long time moving forward. We are offering some junior programs out there to get younger kids involved at an earlier age and hopefully fall in love with the game. So that'll help as far as a lifelong type activity that individuals can do. All right, let's go to the next slide.
Just a quick question.
Yeah, go ahead.
On the previous slide, the parks, what drove the revenue so much higher?
So parks includes Farm and Train. And Farm and Train,
got it.
I mean, at 50 cents a ticket, did amazing. It was packed. People love coming out and riding the train and petting the animals and all of that. And we hope this year it continues. So, and that revenue also includes field rentals and pavilion rentals. Those stayed pretty standard last year, but Farm and Train just killed it. So that's what the parks number is from.
I hope I'm not jumping ahead of your presentation, but Christina has great vision on how to build on that massive, desire for Farm and Train. And we talk about putting money into big recreation facilities, but honestly, that is where people are coming. We make money, we barely charge anything. How can we expand the offerings and make that even better?
Yeah, staff get excited. They want a gift shop there. We've had requests for t-shirts, stickers. We do stickers. So we're looking on how to expand that and bring in additional revenue, but it is a tourist destination. I had some friends with kids visiting and I just put in what to do in Denver, and Farm and Train was number 2 on the list, which is super cool. So
go District 4.
Yeah, so it's pretty exciting for as small as that is, in a little city like ours in Englewood. It definitely has a draw and people really do enjoy coming to it.
Yeah, and that's those revenues on 50 cents, $1.50 a ticket, $2.50 a ticket.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
And we have a lot of locals that buy the punch pass, and so they walk their kids through the park every morning, and then they can jump on the train for a little quick ride and use their little punch pass. So we definitely are looking to expand. We have some staff that are beyond excited and have some amazing ideas. So hopefully we can implement those in the future. So as far as challenges that we faced, hiring and retention has been number 1. The competition of wages, when we look at fast food places that are paying $18 an hour, with some benefits sometimes, vacation time, PTO, whatever. We just can't compete with that. We have a lot of part-time staff. Our biggest bulk of staff is seasonal workers, so we double our staff numbers come April and May for Pirates Cove, for the parks, and it's something that's a challenge. Brad Anderson and I, and Brad oversees Pirates Cove and the Aquatics division, have had a lot of conversations on how do we attract these high school students, the young college students, to come in and be a lifeguard at Pirates Cove when other water parks may be paying more. A lot of it is word of mouth. We have some incentive programs, so if you refer a friend, you get hired. You refer a friend and they come on, they'll get some money for doing that. It's not a ton, but it's something. And so we're really looking at the trends, the market, and seeing how can a municipality compete with the private sector. So it's a little nerve-wracking to think, one, short term is we can do some things now, but long term, is this going to really impact us for years to come? So it's kind of unknown at this point. I hope that's not the case. Working in our parks, working as a lifeguard used to be a really desirable job for high school students. And we hope that returns. There's motivation to do that. One comment, I'll just mention this. One comment that came out of COVID was one of our lifeguards said, I'm not coming back because I make more money not working on unemployment than working for you at your water park, which is to me a little bit backwards, but I'm hoping some of those things change in our future, and a 16-year-old, 17, 18-year-old can apply for unemployment if there's job offerings on the table for them. So we have had ongoing resignations. Unfortunately, Englewood has seen the great resignation as well. Across the board, it's impacted our department, my department, pretty significantly. Also, I mentioned Pirates Cove. A lot of our seasonal workers didn't finish out the season. So we have an incentive this year of, I think it's $250. If you finish out the season, we're going to give you a bump in pay at the end of the season because you stayed with us. It impacts our revenue. If we have to close early, I think it was $116,000 we were short because we had to close earlier, adjust hours this last year because we didn't have the staff to stay open and be safe. So the other thing we've heard too, and it's something that's actually going to council tonight, is not enough full-time staff positions. So people who are part-time, they're degreed, they are looking for full-time positions. Our library is a great example of this. We just don't have any way for them to move up. They just stay in a part-time status. Many of them work multiple jobs. Some are going to get their master's degrees while working multiple jobs. And so tonight at council, we're presenting as part of a budget supplemental, one full-time position. It was a part-time position, and converting it to a full-time as a collection development specialist, which if you know anything about libraries, collection development is the bread and butter. It's what draws people in when the new releases come out, new books, new videos, everything. And so that position will be overseeing that. So also just the rising cost of goods and receiving goods in a timely manner. We've experienced this at our water park with various chemicals, in our parks, at the golf course with seed for the grass. We luckily ordered a lot of our materials last year for this year, knowing the cost as of January 1 or February 1 were going up significantly. The cost of seed for our parks and golf course, and we use a lot of it, went up 30%. And so initially when we set the budget last year, during the summer, we could not have predicted how high the costs were going to rise. But we lucked out. Now we have to plan this budget season. We're going to see some increases in those requests, just knowing the costs of those products are going to go up and continue to go up. Hopefully it levels out soon. Just changing COVID conditions, fingers crossed that we're kind of in the downward spiral of COVID. It has significantly impacted my department over the last 2 years, just with staffing levels having to be constantly changed, reduced, due to lack of programs being offered because of COVID reasons, reduction of programs in general, which is impacting our revenue stream that's coming in, and then just a lot of ongoing unknowns. This hit us hard on the event side. We were literally ready for everything when it came to our special events. We had masks, hand sanitizer, signage galore, and as conditions changed, either worsened or got better, we would change things out at the very last minute to follow the Tri-County Health guidelines. And so that comes with a cost too, because we're constantly printing, changing, ordering more materials like masks and whatever it may be, gloves for our staff. And so just some of those constant changing conditions. And then return to the centers. That's our biggest challenge. We have a lot of competition from the private sector when it comes to gyms, fitness centers, and we're trying to get people to come back to our centers, offering really great rates at the Christmas time when people are buying gifts for others, punch passes, and same thing like I mentioned at Mally, we're doing the social pass at no cost for anybody 55 and plus. So we're hoping people start coming back and enjoying everything the recreation division and Englewood has to offer. And then lastly, all cities deal with this, but aging infrastructure. Pirates Cove is aging, Mally Center, the recreation center, our irrigation systems, many of them are 30 plus years old. And so our staff spend a lot of time fixing those. And so just constantly dealing with aging infrastructure, and it's quite costly to fix it all at once. So trying to come up with a plan on how do we fix the aging infrastructure in a timely manner. Next slide. So as far as the top 3 capital projects, I included what we're doing this year. So we have 4 parks with partial renovations. Baker Park on the north side of town is getting it's pretty much a full renovation, a new bathroom, picnic shelter, pathway that's ADA accessible, playgrounds, and a new irrigation system. So that one will be pretty much done when we finish it this fall. Cushing Park up the street here is getting a new skate park. And if you follow us on Englewood Engaged, we just posted the designs for the skate park, which are pretty cool. They're really embracing the old Englewood with the Cherryland trolley car, our old logo that's skatable because it's got the rich edges on it, and half pipe, which was our #1 request. We're also looking at integrating some lighting into that park. So the individuals who use it can go into the winter months when the weather's still nice, no snow on the ground, but it's pitch black out. So hopefully they can use that year round. And then Centennial Park will be getting a new playground, picnic shelter, bathroom, basketball court down there. And then lastly, Jason Park up the street here is getting a new bathroom, picnic shelter, and basketball court as well. And then we're also going to be renovating the front desk and the aquatic staff area at the Englewood Recreation Center this year, kind of sprucing it up, making a training room for our lifeguards, which we desperately need in the aquatic staff area at the ERC. And then the Broken T irrigation back 9. This is another old irrigation system. That is going to be ripped out, brand new irrigation put in. And so the back 9, if you've ever played it, it has its issues. Our staff have to hand water it. This will help it significantly. So it should look great once those are done. And we won't start those renovations actually until the fall. We want to make as much revenue as we can in the high season, so spring to late fall at the course. And then new for 2022, one is a master plan update. We just did the master plan in 2017, but our plan is to go out for a bond in 2023. And as I mentioned before, costs have changed significantly. And so everything that we have quoted in the 2017 master plan is nowhere close to what the true cost would be. And so we want to get a good cost estimate, bring some actual preliminary designs and conceptual site plans so residents can see what their park is going to look like if they vote for the bond. And then also we're looking at updating the Englewood Recreation Center Aquatics area with more usable elements year round. I'm just going to call it, it's a Flow Rider is what the brand name is, but it's the surf simulator, which would bring us more revenue year round. Granted, people use it throughout the year for swimming and different classes, but that would we'd probably attract a lot more kids for birthday parties in the winter months. I don't think people think pools in the winter months, so doing some fun stuff there with upgrading slides, possibly, and then Pirates Cove, doing some amenity improvements just to upgrade that park. We're doing little things here and there to make that park look nice, but doing some larger elements at Pirates Cove to really draw new people in and keep people that have been coming for years super excited. And then lastly, actually tomorrow night we're having an open house from 5 to 7 here on the 3rd floor lobby for Bates Logan Park. we're trying to get some design element feedback for the park so we can go after an Arapahoe County's open space grant this year, which is due in the spring. So get some funding to help us improve some of the amenities at Bates Logan Park. I think that's, oh, help needed. Okay, one more slide, help needed. So obviously the bond, talk to your neighbors, talk to your friends that live in Englewood, really start sharing as we're digging in and we're advertising through social media or through our web pages, some of these cool things that can happen. Just help advertise through the people share on your social media once it comes time to do so, to really push the bonds. And then just support for additional full-time positions and aquatics and library divisions is really where they're needed as time goes on. The library is a big one. We're kind of a flat structure there with a manager, librarians, and part-time staff. So we'd like to create a little bit more hierarchy and structure to the library division itself. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
So aquatics is Pirates Cove and the pool at the
rec center, correct. Yep.
Is the advertising, so you mentioned advertising for the bond, is that something you need Bag's help with advocating for from an advertising budget
Yeah, down the
perspective?
road, we're not quite there yet. We want to get some of these designs and really get a nice package put together and know really what the dollar amount looks like, the true costs. And then once we have all that, we can come back to you all and do a presentation and talk about it.
So it's not landing on the ballot yet?
Not yet. 2023 is the goal.
Gotcha.
For Broken Tea, are you guys doing another anniversary pass like the 40th or the one that happened 3 years before that? And is there an expectation of, I'd imagine a revenue jump when you do that, since it's on a 3-year cycle for those sales?
Correct, yeah. Shannon, who oversees the golf course over there, has talked about doing another one. The numbers now to see what that looks like, and it's been very popular, and yes, it is.
I've had it for 2 cycles, so there's selfish reasons asking that question too.
It's a great deal.
Yeah.
So,
and then with the restaurant over there, is that something that they're looking for, like an outside company to come in and lease it now, and then will be lease revenue versus, was that previously city run?
It was actually leased previously, and we just closed bids today, and we had one bidder that came in that's in the Denver golf courses right now. So once we go through all that paperwork, we may have a new concessionaire that's leasing that spot that will be opening here in the next couple of weeks.
So this question came to mind when you were talking about the junior program at the golf course. In our socioeconomically diverse community, has there been any thought or discussion about programs that are available to some of our low SES?
Yes.
And I'm thinking about parks in particular. Of course, the library's free, but
Right.
Yeah,
Definitely. So as far as the golf course is concerned, we're actually working with a handful of nonprofits that exist, that whether it's for disabilities or the First Tee of Denver is another one where they have scholarship programs for low cost to come in and learn how to play golf and participate in the programs. Celebrate Golf Day, we kind of want to restructure that too and possibly do more of a fundraiser that would then go towards scholarships to get kids out on the course more often. And then obviously, you're right, parks and libraries are free, but we do have scholarship programs through the recreation center as well, through our summer camps too, if individuals do need that to participate in those programs.
and are people participating?
Our summer camp did okay last year.
Yeah, what about the scholarships?
Not as much. It's something that we need to advertise a little bit more.
Yeah, I'll chime in with an anecdote. Many years ago, I was working in a community in Denver, not working, but partnering some work there. And the community members and, all these partners are like, why don't you offer a program for this or an after school program for that? And the community director, somebody similar in your position, was like, they don't come. So just curious what's out there and how to get people to participate.
It's a challenge, and I think if people know that it exists, I've had that experience in previous cities where we had these robust scholarship programs, but whether it was somebody's pride and they didn't want to put their name on paper or whatever it may be, we do work with a couple nonprofits that actually refer families. So they go through the nonprofit, and then we just work with the nonprofit. So we just get this child's in this summer camp now, and staff don't know anything other than our manager does. So
That's good.
Yeah.
Question on bonds.
Yeah.
I think this is one of the first times it's brought up by a department. that spoke into bonds, right? When we had presentation.
Yeah, I'm not sure we've had any other departments discuss any bond issuances coming up.
Got it. With that issuance, is that like just your department specific, or are there gonna be other departments kind of joining in and say, I actually need 80 million for the bond?
It's totally in council's purview. The staff is definitely going to recommend at a minimum this bond election, because we're paying off a bond at the end of next year.
Yep.
So we have the opportunity to sell another, potentially without any tax increase, or a small tax increase on top of what we're already paying, so.
Got it.
So can I ask a question along that lines also? Can you tell us how long the previous bond issue was for and how much it was for?
It was early 2000s, wasn't it?
Yeah.
For,
Late 90s.
It's a 20-year bond? Okay.
was it 30 million? No, 28?
Something like that.
28 or 30 million for that. And that bond built Pirates Cove, if I remember right. That was a big piece of that bond.
So can the city consider making Pirates Cove an enterprise fund once the bond issue goes away? Is that tied to the bond issue?
That particular bond issue was part of, what was the rec center and the Pirates Cove development. Now, in order to have Pirates Cove as an enterprise fund on its own, I mean, you would have to have absolutely no subsidiary help from the, up to 10% from any other state, local, or even city contribution in terms of grant funding. So you'll have to look at the long-term infrastructure need of Pirates Cove and the potential capital replacement
Right,
of the
but
facility.
the truth is right now, all of the funds from the revenue that's generated from the enterprise, or from Pirates Cove goes into the general fund.
Correct.
So it seems to me like the Pirates Cove is really supporting the general fund.
In part, but yet we would really have to do a full cost benefit analysis of converting Pirates Cove into an enterprise fund.
We had the same discussion with Broken T as well. It's not fully an enterprise fund. I mean, it is, but it isn't. It's like a weird quasi, right?
No, it isn't an enterprise fund.
No.
But
Okay.
the potential loss of grant funding or access to grant funds would be problematic.
Correct.
Splitting it off as an enterprise.
Yes.
That would be
And
the unintended
fees,
consequence.
you might find out the fees would have to be increased substantially to really support the organization, to have it be a fully standalone organization.
So does Pirates Cove get a lot of grant money?
Not a lot. No, we get some Learn to Swim grants. I mean, smaller dollar ones, not the 20,000 plus grants. One challenge I see with making that an enterprise, and I would agree, we'd have to do a really good analysis of this. There have been years in June when we should be wide open, we're practically getting snow or our temperatures were super low, and so the park was not able to open. And so we, as an enterprise, you wouldn't be able to sustain in that. We're kind of looking at that like Broken T right now. We've been closed since December 31st. Granted, the driving range, we open it when we can. I think in January that brought in 40,000. That won't sustain that golf course long term, but at least it was some revenue. And so there's challenges with it when you look at amenities that are discretionary, and it's not necessarily neat. You don't have to go play golf. You don't have to go to Pirates Cove. And so when you use discretionary funds like that, it's as an individual, it could be challenging to keep something like that alive long term. So having the city as a support, especially for Pirates Cove, is at this point, I would say necessary. Change in the future with some nice upgrades to it too. It's hard to know.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Parks? And then Mel, I have actually got a couple questions for you. I just jump back for any questions for Mel's presentation on sustainability. Anyone has that? Awesome. And Mel, I guess this is just a quick question. You mentioned waste and recycle. With waste management coming in, are you guys looking at both single stream and dual stream options? Or I guess I should say multiple stream options for recycling?
Ooh, that I do not know. I don't know if Sean or Tim knows.
Josh, you're talking specifically to what you mentioned about like on city property?
Well,
or-
even coming into city property, but also I know there's a wider project and there's a committee on the single hauler system, but.
Yes, my understanding is for the larger kind of city scale. I went to council on a study session about a month ago. They're working now on a survey. I think they got 2 responses from vendors, and so those things are just kind of still in development. I don't know the specifics actually about the building program, but maybe Mo, we could find that out and then let Jenny know.
Yeah, that would be great.
We're coming back to council on April 18th with the survey, the public survey. We've gotten quite a bit of response on that, and providing council with all the data with regard to pros and cons, just like we're putting out to the public in terms of whether we pull the trigger on that.
So it's like dual streams or multi-streams a part of those conversations in some capacity or?
Maybe, well, it's required recycle or automatic recycling, which.
Well, so when you get into recycling, you got single stream recycling, which you throw everything into one bin, and multi-stream, which you separate plastics, plastics,
No,
things
it's
like
single
that.
stream.
The challenge with single stream is, and I don't know how the technology is continuing to evolve, but there's been some research that's shown that more quantity gets recycled, but less recyclable material is actually extracted because of the contamination and cross-contamination. So it's kind of like, what's the difference and what are the current differences when you start to look at that specific to see, is it better to just say less people are going to recycle on multi-stream, but we're going to actually have more of an impact, less people feel good, but a bigger outcome. So those complexities when you get into the recycling world and how that's evolved with the costs. And then I guess kind of dovetailing off of that is how compost is being included in the conversations as well, both at any city facilities that have food waste. Is there an opportunity to start looking at that, knowing that the impact of food waste, additionally the challenges of how to get credit for something like that, that could add extra expenses, but needs marketing support and kind of publication to get credit for it, so.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
regards to, I'll let Mel jump in about the composting.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I know that questions around interest around composting was on the Englewood Engage survey that went out. And when I was talking to Maria DeAndrea about it, she said that the city really just wants to see that there's interest in composting, but that there might be an RFP going out later around kind of like citywide composting.
Okay, so it sounds like it's going to be almost a standalone project separate from the
I believe.
single hauler trash, or?
It is.
It is?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, that was decided when I still served on the single hauler committee.
I gotcha. So, thank you, and I appreciate the update on some of those stuff as well, coming into this meeting where their purview crosses over. But one question, I know you're a new Mel, but what areas can we advocate for other than just continuing to say we believe in it and we want to see continued focus on sustainability? Is there anything specifically that we can call out and try and help you guys get a strong start?
For my main thing that I really want to be working on is benchmarking and targets, kind of like greenhouse gas emissions and everything. So that's going to be my main focus, but I'm a huge believer in education and outreach for really anything. So, energy efficiency, water, compost. I know a lot of people are really interested, at least from the Sustainability Commission. So I think there's maybe going to be some grassroots efforts around doing some compost events and things like that. So when those events do come out, I would just say helping to spread the word about them, I think would be great.
Perfect. Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
All right. Any other questions?
I just want to say I'm all high on Parks and Rec right now. All Parks and Rec. I love it.
I haven't even thought about golf in the last 2 months, but I'm sad for the golf course right now.
I know.
It's just too long with no divots coming out. Sure, the grounds crew is happy about that fact, though.
No, they actually, I forget what date it was, before this, not this storm, the previous one, they actually had the par 3 course almost cleared. And they were gonna open it on the weekend, on that Thursday, like, we're ready to go, and it snowed on Friday.
Yeah.
We got so close.
Yeah, I will say we got new TRX straps upstairs in the rec center. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Whoever signed the approval on
Got it.
that one. Thanks.
Awesome. All right, moving on to, there was some follow-up questions from the records management. I know that was addressed briefly last month. If everyone's got a chance to read that, is there any comments or additional questions that came from that document and the follow-up from that team? All right, looks good. We were discussing the changes to the BAC meeting time. Peter, we wanted to make sure you were involved in this discussion as well. Some of the challenges that we faced with this fourth Tuesday is holidays, every Thanksgiving, every Christmas, we start to have some issues, and obviously with tonight having to reschedule to accommodate the city council meeting being pushed back. So it kind of came up, is there a better night to discuss and think about meeting? Ultimately, I think there's a lot of options available for other members of the board, but, and Suzanne, thank you for bringing this up. We definitely didn't want to exclude anybody from making this decision. So with that being said, I think the some of the more popular dates we were discussing was the second week Wednesday, or one of those open Thursdays, if I remember correctly from looking at the recap.
That works for me.
No issues there? Is there a preference of thoughts? It sounded like people were gravitating towards Wednesdays, but I do just want to hold that open for discussion before we kind of, try and target that for the date for new meetings if we want to move.
Yeah, that second Wednesday is great.
Awesome. Well, I guess we need a motion to approve or vote to move the meeting to the second, or 5:15 on the second Wednesday of each month. If there's a motion for that?
Aye.
So Minkune, you're motioning to move that meeting? Second?
I'm okay with that, if everyone else is.
Yeah, I mean, I won't motion for it. I'm not against it. I'm new to the committee, time worked for me, so it seems like it's been successful for folks over time, so I'm kind of more if it's not broken, trying to fix it. But, I certainly don't want to exclude members of the committee or anyone. I'd be mostly worried about the folks that are coming in like behind and being able to support it. Would be my biggest, I don't know what overlap there is at with the Board of Adjustment and Appeal. I assume there's probably, too bad I don't know about what Sean and Tim know, or Jenny, but.
Yeah, from the city's aspect, do you guys see major conflict or issues being created from this movement? Because, Bill, kind of your point, it is difficult. I remember we were leaving one meeting and everyone was going, when's our next meeting? Like, we don't know when that is. And it was because it was one of those of the holidays. So it has created enough issues where I do think there's justification to move it to a night that would clean that up a little bit. And I think Wednesday, like the second week of Wednesday, definitely accomplishes that, but I fully agree. I don't want to exclude anybody either from the city, from council, or from a member to be able to attend.
I know that conflicts with Elevate Englewood, but I don't think anybody in here, at least at present time, is on Elevate.
I don't even know what that is.
It's our new leadership development program.
Okay.
I only know because my wife's on it, so.
Yes. Tim, can you just check the room calendar? Can we make sure there's not a conflict?
For Thursdays?
Wednesday,
So,
second
Second
Wednesday.
Wednesday.
I think we back members have been pretty transparent about our personal availability. So aside from that, I'm more concerned about staff
Yeah.
availability and burnout. I don't want to be the reason you guys get burned out on any particular night.
I think it's just a matter of if there's a room conflict is the biggest thing for us.
Yeah, and aside from that, I agree with Bill, like, I don't think it's a terrible inconvenience to reschedule when our meeting lands the same week as Thanksgiving or Christmas. And I'm not gonna stand in the way of moving it if that's what the group wants.
Do on the dice. Sorry, guys. Thank you, everybody.
So So do we have, what's the thoughts on the Wednesday? Or Timmy pulling that up still?
Yeah,
Sorry.
it might take me, sorry.
Yeah, no worries.
If I can find it.
Cause,
I mean, I think if you need to bring it back next session or
Yeah.
offline, you could do, not trying to put you on the spot of
No, it's all right, I just.
searching calendars.
and if you guys want to take it back and think about any impact internally, because from our side, it doesn't seem to be an issue, but has been kind of pointed out, we definitely want to make sure we're not excluding anybody unintentionally that is able and wanted to meet during this time.
The second Wednesday?
Second Wednesday.
Yeah, I don't see any meetings on the second Wednesday, just first and third. So- Well, there's one on the second Wednesday, but it's in the council chambers. So I think this room will still be available.
Would there be any conflict with council? Is that any of our liaisons involved in that?
No, so it's just it's the liquor and marijuana licensing, I just meet in the council chambers.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that one, and then, another one. Sorry, this isn't laid out great. Board of Adjustments and Appeals, so yeah, it's not a council meeting, just they use the room.
And the flip side is that now 3 long nights for anybody, looking at Tuesday and Thursday of that week versus on Tuesday of the 4th week, that at least mitigates what that week looks like.
Yeah, I don't think Sean and I really have conflicts on Wednesday except for the elevated college. So he's at all the Elevate Englewoods, and I go to about half of them, so.
And that, I know that's running now. Is that a twice a year or is that a once? I know it's
This is
new.
the first time, yeah, so we actually haven't decided yet, but I think the plan was to offer it twice a year.
So what time does that go until?
6 to 8.
6 to 8, so that would push
And it's a
even at
5:15.
5:15
Is it
would
like a
become
6
difficult.
week program, right?
8 week, yeah.
8 week.
Yeah, so it's basically 4 months, twice a month.
Yeah. So that would have an impact if they did that twice a year.
So I guess our 2 options are, from our aspect, we kind of know where we are. Tim, can we kind of request some thought from your guys' side on protect yourselves, obviously, make sure that it's a balanced schedule for you and what nights would be conceivable and good for you, for Sean, for other members of city, Jenny, Jackie, to make sure that you guys aren't burning out and hating coming to these meetings because it's just one after another.
I will say, I personally really like other meetings I go to, they start at like 6:37.
Yeah.
I really like that this meeting starts like right after work.
Yeah.
So then I can be done by 6:30 and still have a night, so whatever night you decide, I really like. If you guys want to keep this time, I
Well-
really like it.
Similarly, if we move from the 4th Tuesday to the 2nd Wednesday, we just freed up your 4th Tuesday for you.
Exactly.
So you can just have one long Wednesday if you go to Board of Adjustment and Appeal.
That's true.
That's true too.
And so I guess our request would be if you guys could bring that to next month's meeting, we can kind of make a final decision on if we want to pull the trigger and move the meeting or just keep it as is, knowing what dates that are reasonable to work along you guys.
But the plan would be if you do move it to the second Wednesday to keep it at this time.
My goal is to keep it at this time. I think the 5:15 is definitely an attractive figure, and it sounds like other people. I think the conversation was always keeping it around the same time.
Great.
So, perfect. All right, so we'll table that for another month. Moving on to save the date with our new mandate this year. We are going to have a lot more time on capital projects. So it looks like that meeting is scheduled on the 25th.
Right.
I imagine as we get closer, we'll get more details on it, but make sure it's on the calendar. Evening, I'm guessing, with the TV.
I would imagine it's either, around the 6 o'clock
Thanks, Tim.
start time. But I don't know the time as of yet.
That's useful enough. I put it on my calendar today and I just needed to know if I was blocking business hours or
Perfect.
evening hours.
Awesome. We're looking forward to that. On to upcoming events, we got local economy next month, safety, then transportation. So some more great departments and goals to hear from. So on to members' choice. Anything to bring up?
As we get closer to, because the presentation's in August still, is that still the plan? I know that was what it was this year, because I think that's when I started, that's why I remember. But,
For the end.
I just, is there any kind, I mean, you two have done this before, and the rest of us are new. Is there any time, I don't want to say study session, but any time of like even a half hour or so to kind of talk through what that process looks like, you know, and how to contribute into it?
Usually around this time of year, we come up with a plan for writing our annual report.
Yeah.
So let's see, this is February, and then in the summer months is when we actually present to council.
Yeah.
And this is how things are changing. So in the past, over the course of the year, we would just have a department come and talk to us.
Which I read the last one, so your last annual report, so.
Yeah, so, and what we've done, I don't know, I guess since last fall, is shift our discussions around the strategic plan. So instead of having Parks and Rec come one month and police come another month and what have you. As you can see tonight, we had sustainability and Parks and Rec. So that's why some of the departments are lumped together. And I'll be honest, like that's kind of where the timing and the planning starts to get jumbled for me. And we had talked about this when we decided to go to this new format is the timing of city operations and funding cycles. And then, you know, the needs that one department might have in October are no longer relevant in April. So if I remember correctly, it was around this time when we were planning to circle back and maybe have kind of an open house or you called it an open door discussion from different departments to try to figure out what should we be focusing on and what is still relevant this summer when we present to council.
And even, I think, and that's part of it too, and then even how we as members kind of split up and work, like I know going to the presentation, you know, you each had pieces that, you know, Chelsea did as well.
Yeah.
And nothing to drag us out tonight, it's just, I was thinking of it, you know, kind of coming into this meeting was, you know, how does that really look to come together and support it?
I think it is relevant tonight. I'm glad you brought it up.
It's a great time to start scoping out kind of the next even 5-6 months, because that's the reality when we roll into it. So the way at a high level, just kind of thinking about it, is coming into like that April 26th, May 24th, those two meetings, we're going to have a lot better idea. We can talk more about it on the March 22nd, but kind of thinking about where people are asking for help. I think what we had discussed was using maybe one of those meetings to kind of generate a feedback form to all the departments that have presented for the different strategic plan goals, saying like, hey, this is what you told us. You know, we've got just some quick information. You said these were your top priorities. How have things changed? Is there anything significantly that you changed? And give them an opportunity to either respond to us in an email if it's a minor change and that's inappropriate, or if it's, hey, things are good, thanks for that, or even come back, maybe we use that June meeting for any opportunity to do that. From there, what we did last year, I think we used the June meeting to kind of identify and talk as a group where we wanted to focus the strategic report and think about who had experience in each area to be able to help out. And so then split up on our own. We've got to be careful about, not getting too many people working in a document at the same time, because if we have 3, it's now officially a meeting. Not meeting too many of us together to discuss it, managing those things, but kind of doing some individual work and just some email to get it. Depending on the scheduling, we can talk about if we need an extra meeting or what the July meeting looks like as we're preparing for the exact timing of the presentation to council. But our goal is, it sounds like it's been a several-year progression, but slightly moving the timetable up. So our report comes a little bit more relevant, a little bit earlier in council's process. So it's less of a, we're already doing this, check mark, but have some more substance to it is the goal. So anything to add from your experiences on that, kind of extrapolating last year a little bit?
No, I mean, what I do in my personal note taking is I just star some kind of notation, like revisit this when it comes to report writing time, and sometimes it stays, sometimes it gets washed out. Yeah, I mean, there are things that I am very good at speaking to and things I'm not, like pension plans, auditing pension plans.
I won't go down that path, but watching HR, it's like, no help needed. I'm like, you have 4 staff openings and no word about the pension plan. I've got more questions.
Oh, like last month's, I think we can attribute that to that person's newness and not really knowing who we are and what we do.
Yep.
Yeah, but as you spoke to council last summer.
Always good fun talking about retirement plans. But yeah, so I think with that as maybe like just kind of some thoughts and trying to rethink what we have discussed over the last year. As we're going through this is where we just definitely want the feedback and think about how we can improve and be most impactful as we go through it for the report, making sure that we have the relevant data and are telling the story that we want to tell as citizens. So June's going to be a big part of pulling that together and basically strategizing what that looks like.
And is June the standard target for the report date?
So as we've been working to this new schedule, June seems to be where we want to start the report with I think we turned it in mid to late July last year. It was right after Isla was born, because I was working on it for that crazy stretch. But it was right around mid-July is when we actually turned it in. So if we have the meeting, end of June, we'll probably want to push some of that stuff up to May and make sure that we've got a strong start on it and be able to talk about more of it in June.
But we do try to allocate one meeting to reviewing it and making sure that we're in agreement on what's stated.
And then I think we do have the flexibility to work with Jenny and get an ad hoc meeting on the schedule if we need to.
Yeah.
It hasn't been needed in the past, but we'll just kind of see. It wasn't used last year.
It was not used last year.
That's a better way of saying it.
Thank you. Thank you, that helps.
Mhm.
Just as a refresher, when does the council make the decision on the budget approval?
They'll actually vote on the budget in October the 1st and 3rd,
Okay.
Monday.
Oh, so that'll be, okay. Got it.
But we'll have a proposed document, charter request that by no later than September 15th. So we'll have it around the 6th or 7th, right after Labor Day.
Okay.
And then they'll have their budget hearing, I think on the 19th of September.
So the June or July report is enough time for us to get what we need, but it still gives them plenty of time, it sounds like.
Yep. So, yeah, so you are weighing in into the budget process.
Oh, really?
You're right there with the rest of us.
Okay.
Raga. So we've got that set. We'll continue to firm that up and actually, I think bringing it up during Members' Choice every meeting moving forward is an appropriate way to do it and making sure we're staying on the pulse of that. Jenny, I've got a couple of feedback questions specifically around our conversations last year about the audit risk and challenges of the pension plan. I don't know if that's been addressed. The general challenges of HR's turnover over the last stretch. So is it best to just send it to you to follow up with them for a future request, and we can share it in future meetings. But and if anyone wants the specifics on kind of some of those conversations from last year, I'm happy to jump in at a point to go a little bit deeper. But the thing that really stood out to me is I really appreciated Jackie's approach and what she said about empowering more people, the automation and kind of that disrupted new way. Something that she kind of indicated is there's difficulty to getting seats at the table. I don't know if I misinterpreted that right. And so that's an area I think even from finance is how do we think about getting more people at the table for these decisions, making sure that the city's not too siloed and the potential benefit from avoiding that. So that's one thing that did stick out that I kind of wanted to mention with Jackie's approach that I really appreciated. So that was great to see, and ways to expand on that are definitely positive in my book. Awesome. Any other thing for Members' Choice? Perfect. That should adjourn us. Next meeting is next Tuesday, March 22nd. No changes to that. We're going to keep that on the calendar as is and see from city if we moving forward, or maybe we even consider moving it on the next cycle and consider it after that as just an alternative popping in my mind. Awesome.
All right.
All right, thanks, everybody. Yeah, it's like we can help you get staffed up. There's things we can advocate for.
Yeah, no,